What if everything you've been told about Tommy Robinson's prison conditions is a lie? A new bombshell from his team could blow the official story wide open. Something's not adding up behind the walls of HMP Woodhill. And what we've just learned from Tommy Robinson's team is deeply troubling. The official version of events. It paints a picture of comfort and fair treatment. But the reality, according to those closest to Tommy, is far darker, and it might completely change how we view his current situation. Before we dive into this eye-opening update, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to keep hearing the truth they don't want you to know. Now, let's get into it. According to Governor Nicola Marfleet, Tommy Robinson is supposedly living under a generous regime in prison. In a statement to Mr. Justice Chamberlain, she claimed he gets 3 hours a day out of his cell, including access to a gym, showers, a yard, and even a laundry. She also said he can have social visits 4 times a week, gets work 3 days a week, and has 4 hours a day to call friends and family. Sounds almost relaxed, right? But Tommy's team is calling foul, and they're not mincing words. According to them, this version of events is completely false. Here's what they say is really going on. 1. No phone calls at all on Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday last week. 1. Not a single one. 2. For 2 full days, he's had 0 time outside his cell. 2. That means no yard, no gym, no visits, no exercise, nothing. 3. His only job. 3. A basic cleaning role. 3. Forget painting, decorating, or anything meaningful. 4. He only received a DVD player 1 week before his judicial review, likely a token gesture, not a privilege. 5. And to top it all off, he's been denied visitation repeatedly. So what's changed? Here's where it gets really disturbing. The only reason Tommy had any semblance of a routine before was because he was being held in the separation center at HMP Woodhill, a unit with slightly better conditions and a small kitchen for self-catering. He'd asked to be moved there earlier in his sentence, but was constantly refused. The excuse? The unit was undergoing works, but suddenly, those works are finished, just in time for jihadist prisoners to move in. Yes, you heard that right. The same unit that Tommy was told was off limits is now housing dangerous inmates, including some transferred from HMP Frankland and Durham, individuals with a history of violence, including an incident where a prison guard was attacked with boiling oil and stabbed. And now that this group has taken over the separation center, Tommy has been kicked out. The limited freedoms he had, gone. No timeline, no explanation, no sign of when, or if, his previous access will return. It's not just frustrating, it's deeply unjust. Especially when you realize that courts are still being told that he's living in decent conditions. His team says it's nothing short of a blatant misrepresentation. They say the governor's statement paints Tommy's prison life like a holiday at Butlins, when in reality, he's facing near total isolation. So let's be clear. 1. No phone access on multiple days. 2. No regime for 48 hours straight. 3. No proper work. 4. Repeated visit denials. 5. And a supposedly safer unit now handed over to violent extremists, while he's left with nothing. Tommy's team is sounding the alarm, not just because of the harsh conditions, but because the courts and the public are being misled. They're calling out the inconsistencies, the lack of accountability, and the failure of leadership at HMP Woodhill. And let's be honest, whether you support Tommy or not, everyone deserves the truth. We'll keep tracking this story and bring you updates as soon as we have them. Now, let's shift gears to another brewing fight. This time in the hills of Wales, herb Welsh farmers versus power giant, the Pylons showdown over in rural Wales. Another battle is unfolding, and it's got shades of David versus Goliath written all over it. Local farmers and landowners are going head-to-head with the UK government and energy firm Green Gen Cymru over plans to roll out a 60-mile network of massive electricity pylons, some standing as high as 108 feet, straight through unspoiled countryside. Why? To connect new wind farms to the national grid. But the people who actually live on this land say, not on our watch. They're not just protesting, they're refusing access to their land, even at the risk of civil and criminal charges. That includes 71-year-old Wyn Jenkins, a transport boss who says he was pressured into signing an agreement out of fear of being slapped with £50,000 in legal fees. One local summed it up like this: "This is heartbreaking. There's an alternative, but they just won't listen. And that alternative? Underground cables. Campaigners say they're just as effective, and less damaging to the environment. But the company insists pylons are the only way." At least a dozen landowners are now being dragged to court, while over 100 continue to resist. They say they're not just fighting for themselves, they're fighting to protect Wales' world-class landscapes. And there's real public support. When National Geographic recently listed the Heart of Wales rail line as one of the best train journeys in the world, locals felt validated in their mission to keep the countryside untouched. The government's offer: a £250 annual energy bill discount for residents near the pylons, but people are calling it a joke compared to the long-term damage. So what we're seeing here could be the first major test of whether rural communities across the UK can stand up to these sweeping infrastructure plans in the name of climate change. The people of Wales aren't backing down. And something tells us, this fight is far from over. What are your thoughts on today's stories? Do you believe Tommy's being mistreated, or is it all just politics? And in Wales, should residents have a stronger say over what happens to their land? Let us know down in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next update. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Hand waving. Let me know if you want a version split into segments with captions or tailored for a voiceover script. 40